Is now exclaiming has the moment. Harris Faulkner, the great Harris Faulkner, host of the Faulkner Focus and co-host of Outnumbered on Fox News, and Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief of the National Review. Go ahead, Harris. Take me down. No problem.
I'm not going to take you down. I just have a couple of questions. I mean, when you move the date ball on when we're going to see those tax cuts, that matters to this economy. Mm-hmm. So I sort of want to interview you back and get your thought. There's a big difference between Memorial Day and July 4th, and then to hear September or October. Where are we really on needing the tax cuts, and what do you think is doable?
I'd like to see him. Look, Memorial Day to July 4th is a month plus. So it's okay. I'm fine with that. September, October would worry me. Not because I think we're headed for an economic crash, but because I just think it's promises made, promises kept.
Right.
The GOP has got to show folks that they meant what they said. Particularly, you know, it's interesting. It's complicated. Rich, jump in when you want to. You've got the extension of the tax cuts, okay, which I think by and large, unfortunately, Democrats all oppose it. That's too bad. But I'm going to say, by and large, extending the tax cuts, which works so well, is not controversial. Mm-hmm. You have some newbies, which are very popular, and this is where I want Trump to go. The tax-free tips for service workers, the tax-free overtime, that's a blue-collar thing.
Right.
And even some tax relief for seniors, although that's a little ill-defined. That stuff's very popular. Mm-hmm. And I think he needs to emphasize that as much as possible, okay? Rich, if I had it my way, you know this, I would have done tax cuts and then tariffs, okay? Mm-hmm. But he went tariffs first. Yep. Too aggressive in my judgment. On the other hand, now that story is calming down, and there are a bunch of trade deals that are, you know, not too far from fruition. So I think that's going to be a big plus as well.
Yeah, so the most optimistic scenario would be you get the big, beautiful bill as soon as possible.
Yep.
I kind of think we're looking into September, October. There's so many cats, a lot of alley cats, a lot of cats you don't want to bother with, cats that have all sorts of problems, and it's going to be difficult to hurt them. They will be hurted eventually, and this bill will pass, and it's even more important now than it was before. And then as soon, in my view, that he can declare victory and go home on a lot of these tariffs, the better. So as soon as the deals start coming, that also, sooner the better.
May I add, though, you gave the president a grade A.
I do.
When you look at how much Joe Biden did in his first 100 days, really in the first 10 hours, to undo the previous policies of Trump during his first term, the president had much more to do this time, just to reset the country. I think he gets a grade A because he did something that was in that top 2 or 3 issue tier. He fixed the border. Mm-hmm. And people and in fact, you know that he fixed it because Democrats are spitting mad, and now they're like spitting out the word impeachment. They just want to stop. He has a huge deliverable on keeping our nation's sovereignty, and that matters. That gets him an A. Now, the next 100 days, the tax cuts are part of that. You'd like to see it within like 30 to 45.
That was a historic crisis. It started under Obama. Went into the first part of the Trump term. It drove President Trump crazy that he couldn't control this, then found a way to do it. And then, of course, Biden blows the lid off of it. But it ended almost literally within hours.
Why do you think this time is so different, though?
He sneezed. Trump sneezed. He went, achoo, come into the border. Yeah. I said that on her show this morning.
And I God blessed him. I thought it was real.
No, all right. And guess what? 0. I mean, literally, a father could play catch with his daughter and be safe at the border today, which is a remarkable
No one's going to walk across several countries and pay smugglers and all the rest of it and just get turned around and go back home. That makes no sense. So you just stay.
And the other thing, Harris, one more, the deportations. Mm-hmm. These polls will not show that. I'm sorry. These polls, and I do believe they're
So which part of the deportation do you mean?
Deporting criminal aliens. Let's start with that. Some people call it the low-hanging fruit. I just think it's the most important fruit, okay?
Well,
we've been talking about the Wisconsin fiasco, but it's happening all over. It's happening in Florida. It's happening in Colorado. The deportation is very popular.
Well, it's important. Look, they called Obama the deporter-in-chief. I think it was north of 3 million.
Yes.
He got out. No injunctions. This president.
Right.
This president is dealing with double-digit injunctions, and I don't even think he's at 1 million yet. I think he's far below that. I think it's below 500,000 that he's gotten out of the country. Look, you've got to give him the rein to be able to do this.
Yes.
And it is a winning issue for the country. That's what I argue. That's why he gets an A, because he's done something that makes us all safer. And by the way, if you spend any time with DHS officials under this administration, you get a whole lot of facts about the northern border, too. Didn't get a lot last time, almost ignored it under Biden, but you can't ignore that. So he's working a two-border situation, making the situation better. You mentioned the other countries south. You can't keep people from coming in and out of Mexico without dealing with your neighbors to the south and Central America. He's doing that through his administration.
It's pretty remarkable.
And he's got the right borders are on this. I mean, Tom Homan is a passionate guy. He's a talented man. He's a trustworthy person in terms of this issue. He wants to find children who are here being trafficked and rescue them, non-American citizens. He said it's a mark against us to have those children lost in the system as they were under Biden's administration in Mayorkas.
All is never smooth, okay? I've been in a couple of administrations down through the many years. All is never smooth. But Trump is a disruptor, and he's a transformer. And I think those are very important points. I think that's what the public wants. Along with what Harris said, which I think was very well put. Give him tremendous credit for what he's done on the border and deportation. But the fact is, promises made, promises kept. Not everything's perfect, but he's doing it. That
There's
was
almost
his
nothing he's
mandate.
done that he didn't talk about in the campaign.
That's
Again, I'm
right.
not a fan of the terrorists, but he talked about them all the time.
Yes.
Right? And then also, I just think if you take a step back, he has redefined the standard for what 100 days is, right? From now on, whether the Democratic nominee is Pete Buttigieg is going to say, I'm going to try to do that. Everyone is going to try to do that, to
I
turn
haven't seen
everything
Pete
around
Buttigieg in 4.5 years.
I don't think we're in danger of him outworking Trump.
Whatever happened to Pete Buttigieg? But in all honesty, think about that for a minute. How many things has Trump done? How many executive orders? I mean, you have activist judges. The Democratic Party wants to impeach him. You got activist judges trying to block him. We're going to have Jonathan Turley on to rebut all that stuff later in the show. All they want to do is stop him. They have not once. Remember this morning on your show, I said Bill Clinton read the tea leaves 30 years ago and said the era of big government is over, and presided over welfare reform, a balanced budget, and a capital gains tax cut from a Democrat.
Well, look, say what you...
These dumb Democrats have no idea what to do. Heck, I'd give Trump an A+ just for befuddling the dumb Democrats.
Just getting through it. Look, say what you want about a Democrat, Bill Clinton, if you happen to be on the right. But he knew who he was, good and bad.
Right.
Yeah.
The man was not having any disillusions about who he was as a person and as a president. That's what you have in Trump. You didn't have that in the Gap. That's a long period to kind of be struggling. And look, not to every man in every moment, but you do have to bring to the table your own firm ideas of what you want America to look like. That's why both their economies, when you bookend them, were strong. I mean, Trump's first-term economy, oh my goodness.
And you didn't have it in Kamala Harris, right? She was the presidential candidate, what Gayle King is to astronauts. The whole thing was was fake, right?
Well, Trump called her a smart cookie. But look, I don't want to ask you one last thing. Political veteran that you are. How can you have polls that lose 15% of the last electorate?
Yeah, well, John McLaughlin's been on this a long time.
Honestly, I went back and looked with him over the weekend. It came up in my radio show on Saturday. I'm scratching my head. They're trying to kill him. But it's so patently stupid because we're all going to figure out that they left out 15% of Trump's vote.
Well, this has been going on since 2015, the undersampling of Trump's support.
Right.
So it's just another form of that.
And 92% of the evening news, the broadcast evening news, not our evening news at Fox, Brett Baer, the best in the business, but ABC, CBS, NBC, 92% negative coverage.
Well, when they weren't lying about how Biden was doing.
Honestly,
I mean, Trump has had that kind of coverage for years, even like 2015 you mentioned, even before he was in office the first time. But I would bet that this country could sit with a little bit of that because it's already baked in more than they could sit with being lied to. Absolutely.
Yes.
That Axios reporter over the weekend at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Alex Thompson, said, basically they didn't mean it. Look, there were some who were complicit in the demise of truth in this country. And they worked in the White House and they worked in the media. Worked.
It's one of the biggest frauds
Probably
perpetrated
still work.
agast the American public in the modern era. I mean, this was an enormous, nefarious lie. And we still haven't learned all about it.
Did he? I was reading the Axios.
Well, he covered some of the
he was a good guy on this.
Yeah,
but did he recommend giving back the Pulitzer Prizes?
No, that's
I'm quite curious.
at least not voluntarily. I didn't have the unembargoed script.
Producers yell at me. We're having too much
You're
fun.
funny.
Rich Lowry, Harris Faulkner.
Thank you.
Thanks to
Bye,
both
my
of you.
friend.
Appreciate it very, very much. And don't miss Harris' new show. This is wonderful. America's Most Wanted Missing Persons, premiering tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Fox Broadcast Network. Very important of you to do that.
Thank you.
Really terrific
All local
stuff.
Fox stations.
All right.